Howdy, folks. Here I am recruiting for the Club of the God of the Living, or the Club of the Truth, or the Club of Neville, or Goddardians, or whatever you want to call it. I am recruiting for a community that I want to see and have been seeing um, form in Portugal. There is some very nice property there that I have been talking about with real estate agents and looking for individuals who want to get in touch and join in on this effort. I'm looking for about 14 core people, the core council, I refer to them. So some of those people, if you have any skills as a teacher or an artist or an engineer or a counselor or mediator type person, someone who has skill or training as an emergency medical technician or emergency medicine in general, natural medicine, that would also work. Looking for permaculturalists, someone who is skilled in beekeeping, um, no animals, as this would be a vegetarian, well, not no animals, but not slaughtering animals for sure. So could be there'll be some chickens for sure because they're wonderful little compost machines, and possibly for unfertilized eggs. So anyway, to continue on, the beekeepers, the permaculturalists, potentially someone with skill as a lawyer, um, to navigate the next probably year or so as things fall apart even more. Um, Hopefully all people who are versed in the teachings of Neville Goddard, um, or someone else similar to that. I won't say he's the only guy out there, but he's a big one who, for me anyway, who really kind of opened my eyes to what faith really is. I thought I knew what it was when I was a part of the church, the Christian church, and I had no clue. So I think most of us, if you're still in the Christian church, you don't have any idea. That's why I made some of the other videos that I did. And but those of you who've found this probably know something about Neville Goddard and what an awesome dude he was. Um, he really opened people's eyes to just the basics of what faith really is and how to make it work in your life. And so anyway, to continue on the list, looking for, I think, a couple kind of massage therapists, someone with some general skills, but also somebody with some skills potentially in hydrotherapy, and then someone who definitely has some skills in myofascial release and uh, I don't know what the proper term might be, postural repatterning or Rolfing, something like this. I know some people call it structural integration. I don't want to be quite that rigid, but if you have skill in letting the body unlock, there's a lot of things you learn on your own that I did personally because I have some skill in this area just by touching bodies and getting your hands on them. So I don't want to be too rigid about that. Musicians, pretty important thing. And what else is there? Okay, so someone who is willing, or maybe even a couple people who are willing to still connect with technology, because at some point that's got to all go bye-bye. If you are aware of scripture and you're aware of how all of the technology that we're using today is at war with the living world, if you're aware of 3 and 4G, even 2G, and how it is not biocompatible, not harmonious with other biological organisms, and causes problems, disease, ill health, and such things, then you've probably also heard of the next generation. And if you haven't, Barry Trower is a good name to look up. And you'll find out it's basically warfare on the living world, all out war. And not to mention, everything else that we're doing, all the plastics that we make, the process is extremely toxic. The mining activities that we do, toxic as can be. Even textiles and the paints that we use, varnish, the processing of metals and refining of them. We don't have any way to do any of the stuff that we do for modern living that isn't really detrimental to us and to other members of the living world. So, but there are ways to do these things, and there are, as probably many of you have already imagined, who are into Neville Goddard and have any kind of a spiritual or religious inclination, or just a heart with some love in it, which a lot of people don't seem to have. Today, Scripture says the love of the great many will grow cold, and it sure seems like that has happened to so many people. So what I didn't mention was scouts and foragers. So that's a pretty important element to this whole thing too. But yeah, the internet, the person who's gonna kind of be for a period of time, the interface for us with things, resources and such that we could probably procure a little bit more quickly with the money that we have to use to build, to store up treasure in heaven and get this whole process started. But the way I see it, the vision that I have for it is to, and share with me what you see, but the thing that I see is none of us are really like masters, probably not even close to what Neville Goddard was at, the level he was at, but certainly should be shooting for that. I know it's what I'm shooting for, and it's going to take some time and practice, to begin to control the mind in such a way. And I think there's a lot of teachings out there about a lot of information about Jesus as a what's the word? Essene, as an Essene, and how he used his environment and his diet to purify himself. We know he fasted, of course, and I know a lot about that field. That's kind of my area of expertise, is herbal medicine and nutrition and diet and using plants to heal the body. And a couple other related areas like different kinds of body work, reflexology and stuff like this. So anyway, there's this huge impact there. And even in Scripture, you can see, we started in a garden. There wasn't any death. We weren't killing our food and ripping its skin off and burning it with fire and eating it. And when we did start doing that, it's the record in the Bible states that lifespans plummeted. So it was right before God gave permission to do that, after the flood, when supposedly all the green things were gone, that man did start to do it and found he had a real taste for flesh, and the lifespans just. And so the prelude to all that was, my spirit will not always strive with the souls of men. So yeah, I guess, you get tired of living in a body dormant for hundreds of years that, you just being ignored and not listened to, since it says the kingdom of heaven is within you, and God is in heaven, and so on and so forth. Anyway, there's other scriptures for that. That's not the point. The point was about getting together and doing this, and how I'm chomping at the bit, and I'm looking for people who have these kind of skills. And if you know somebody who has these kind of skills, let's all get in touch. The only prerequisite is that you're ready for the golden rule as the rule, the law of love, and that you don't have a shit ton of, really whacked out mental issues. We could even maybe talk about that, but because, I don't want to leave any genuine individual behind or to try and judge that way. But, it can't be a total zoo and fiasco going on. People have to kind of have done some of that work already to be at a place where you can at least sit down and be able to talk with people and not be one massive fire, inferno, raging inferno, every couple hours, that you can't, control yourself or get along with other people. You have to have, worked on that to some extent, and then be humble enough for us to all be able to relate and talk to each other and work through our shite. Because we all got a little bit, and coming together, of course, there will be misunderstandings and stuff, but love, being present, will says in the scripture, love covers over a multitude of sins. And so I think that it's really the key ingredient, and the willingness to know yourself and know the truth, because none of us sees 100% clear. When we get the perspectives of other people, it really helps. And it says that wisdom is in the counsel of many. So with this core group, this core council, I think I'm ready to do it. I'm excited. And so get in touch if you feel like you're ready for this and you're into a non-cruelty kind of a lifestyle, not necessarily vegan. We're a part of this whole circle of things, and we help it and we harmonize it, and every living part of it takes from another part and gives back, and we have something to give, and we are given the opportunity to take as well. And it shouldn't seem strange to us to do that, I think. So if you are of like mind with those things, then by all means get in touch. I'm once again chomping at the bit. So until next video, ciao.